The movie opens in the distant future, where a dystopian world is home to only a small population of human beings. Mankind is divided into two categories, the immortal Eternals and the mortal Brutals. However, most of the Brutals are unaware of the existence of the Eternals because their societies are separated by a powerful and impenetrable force field. Brutals live in a vast wasteland called the Outback, which has been exposed to radiation for an extended period. They toil hard and grow food for the Eternals, who live in separate communities called vortices. But all of them are separated from the Outback by the force field. The Eternals are aware of the existence of the Brutals, but see them as primitive savages. To take advantage of their undeveloped counterparts, the Eternals collectively decided to hand the governance of the Outback to an ingenious man named Arthur Frayne. He came up with a rather clever and cunning ploy: invent a form of religion. The sole god in this religion is called Zardoz, who is frantically revered by the Brutals. These peasants give Zardoz all of their crops in exchange for his teachings, which dictate their lives. Meanwhile, the Brutals only eat meat, which they get through hunting. The movie jumps to the year 2293 when several Brutals ride down the irradiated hillside of the Outback. It is revealed that there are two distinct classes among the Brutals. The frail laborers do the farming, while a genetically modified, physically strong group, named the Exterminators, maintains law and order. The most powerful of the Exterminators is Zed, a giant Brutal with a thick mustache and long hair. Currently, Zed watches on as the Brutals gather near a field while Zardoz prepares to land. The god figure is actually a giant stone head with gleaming eyes and an open mouth. He soon arrives and starts speaking with a booming voice. Zardoz says that the Exterminators were raised for the sole purpose of brutality. Their only purpose in life is to kill other Brutals so as to stop them from reproducing. Zardoz reiterates his point by commanding them to go and kill. As soon as he says this, a large number of guns and ammunition are ejected from his mouth. The Exterminators eagerly seize these gifts while chanting the name of Zardoz. However, as the statue flies away, it is revealed that Zed has managed to sneak in. He did so by hiding under the wheat grains that the Brutals gave Zardoz as an offering. After emerging from his hideout, Zed carefully examines the surroundings. He is astonished to see life-size figures of human bodies kept near the eyes of the statue. He then takes a peek outside and realizes that they are currently flying to a vortex. Most of the Brutals assume the vortex is the afterlife, but Zed has other ideas. Suddenly, he hears a noise coming from nearby and cautiously spies a rather strange man who happens to be Arthur Frayne. He is dressed in a robe, a blue headgear, and his beard and mustache are drawn with ink. Unaware of the lurking danger, he stands near Zardoz's open mouth. This is when Zed jumps right behind him and shoots him. Fatally hurt by the attack, Arthur claims he was about to tell Zed the secrets of his universe. He then screams that without him, the peasant world is meaningless. Zed tries to ask him more, but Arthur eventually succumbs to his injuries. Shortly after, the stone head leaves the brutal zone and reaches the land of the Eternals. It looks like a quaint, rural village of the 19th century, with homes and farms built separately for several kinds of animals. Upon landing, Zed cautiously departs the stone head. There is also evidence of advanced technology strewn here and there, including mills used to convert grain into flour. All of this is a rather strange sight for Zed as he is used to living in primitive land. Following this, he wanders into one of the nearby homes, which appears to be seemingly deserted. Inside, he finds a strange ring in one of the drawers. Turns out, it is actually a hologram projecting device that also acts as an AI search engine. The Eternals use the rings to find and retrieve information about almost anything from the Vortex's vast database. But the simple-minded Zed does not understand its usage initially. He freaks out when a hologram of Arthur Frayne projects from the ring. However, he soon realizes the ring's purpose and takes it for himself. Zed then flees the house and cautiously roams around the fields. Sometime later, he comes across a pond and stops to drink water. Suddenly, a beautiful woman named May appears out of nowhere, and Zed instinctively shoots at her. But the bullet simply bounces off of her and springs back towards him. Zed falls to the ground in intense pain, but to his surprise, there is no blood or even a wound where the bullet hit him. May quickly realizes that Zed is a brutal who has sneaked into this vortex. She questions how he ended up so far away from home, but Zed lies to her. He repeats the age-old teaching of Zardoz. After death, people are transported to a paradise-like place called Vortex, where they live a peaceful life. To make his lie even more believable, he asks if he is dead. But May uses the psychic abilities that all Eternals have and peeks into Zed's mind. She sees him, along with several other men like him, riding on horseback and killing people indiscriminately. This is enough for her to realize that the man before her is an exterminator. Thus, she sedates him psychically and takes him to the Vortex's lab. It is then revealed that this is Vortex 9, and May is their chief scientist. When Zed regains consciousness, he finds himself lying down on a table while his memories are being projected on a large screen. May and her colleague, Consuela, watch the memories and come to know that this exterminator is named Zed. His memory is filled with heroic feats as he has killed over 25 brutals. The women watch in horror, as the memory shows him forcing a brutal woman in the name of god Zardoz. As time went on, Zardoz demanded the exterminators force peasants to grow wheat, despite knowing that the brutals mainly eat meat. May further learns that Zed is capable of hiding several parts of his memory from her. She now wants to establish control over him and keep him for further tests. But Consuela, who cannot look past Zed's rough behavior, wants to kill him instantly. Nevertheless, this is the first real contact with a brutal since Arthur Frayne, who has not been seen for the past 3 days. May begins to conduct research on his possible whereabouts and asks the ring to reproduce the last minutes of Arthur's latest memory. To her surprise, the AI says that he is already dead and that his body is being reconstructed. It is then revealed that even if Eternals die in an accident, an advanced AI system named Tabernacle regenerates them completely in their original form. Zed notices a small embryo-like structure, which is Arthur Frayne being regenerated. Later, Consuela gathers all the residents of Vortex 9 in a theater. Here, the exterminator's memories of violence on men and women are played for everyone to see. Zed has no remorse for his actions, and even says he loved killing other brutals. He also reveals that he forced himself on women because, among all brutals, only the exterminators were allowed to breed, as they were chosen. Upon hearing all of this, May realizes that the exterminators were the results of selective genetic engineering carried out by Arthur Frayne. She wants to do further research on Zed's genetic makeup, but Consuela reiterates that he should be immediately killed. This leads to a vote among all the Eternals, which overwhelmingly decides that May is to be given 3 weeks to study Zed's physiology. Friend, a somewhat cynical Eternal, is the happiest person to hear this news. He has grown immensely bored of life in the Vortex and takes a particular interest in Zed. The following morning, Zed is caged and begins serving as a manservant to Friend. The latter treats him like a prized new horse, but not cruelly. Instead, he has some sort of admiration for Zed and names him Monster. But Friend also forces Zed to pull his chariot as they deliver fresh-baked loaves of green bread to other zones within the Vortex. This period of servitude gives Zed a deep glimpse into life in the Vortex. He notices that many Eternals live aimlessly, as they have no purpose or struggle in life. One of the stops along the bread delivery route is the zone of the apathetics. These are the Eternals who have slipped into catatonia. They have become so indifferent to life that they are barely aware of their own need to eat and breathe. Friend gives Zed permission to have his way with one of the local girls. Thus, the exterminator savagely gropes her, but her blank expression and utter lack of response turn him off. Zed and Friend then continue their bread run to the other zones. Their next stop is at the House of Renegades. Renegades are Eternals who live in exile for their various transgressions. The most serious crime in this perfect world is disharmonious thinking, which doesn't match the ideology of the Eternals. As punishment, the Renegades are artificially altered, which renders them unable to die. They are doomed to live forever in various stages of aging and dementia. Among the aged Renegades is the original Eternal scientist who first unlocked the secret of immortality itself. The following day over breakfast, Zed is forced to serve the Eternals. His daunting presence and raw sexuality fascinate several women as well as men. However, it is evident that Consuela regards him as a dangerous outsider who needs to be terminated. This leads to a dispute at the breakfast table, and yet another voting process is summoned. All the gathered Eternals vote, and the results say that May is to finish her studies in the next 7 days. After that, the brutal from the outer world will be killed once and for all. The news breaks Friend mentally, as he had been disillusioned with immortality a long time ago. He begins to talk like a revolutionary and complains about the decayed state of their immortal lives. He thinks that, given their limitless lifespan, the Eternals have grown corrupt and are descending into madness. The needlessness of reproduction has rendered the men impotent, and meditation has replaced sleep. Friend even refuses to join the others in a medication camp, which leads him to punishment. He is sadly aged into an old man forever. Shocked, Zed runs to the zone of renegades and finds Friend among other old Eternals. The two chat for a while, and Friend takes Zed to the original inventor of the tabernacle, who is so old that he is permanently bedridden. But the inventor gathers all his strength and tells Zed to seek help from May. Our hero then runs to May's house, only to find her waiting for him as if she already knew he would come. She uses all her psychic powers to probe deep into Zed's mind. In a shocking twist, it is revealed that he is much more intelligent than he has let on. Zed is a direct result of careful selective breeding conducted by Arthur Frayne. The eccentric inventor has also played a hand in shaping Zed's education by stimulating his interest in reading. Through the memories, it is revealed that Arthur lured Zed into an ancient library in the outback, where the exterminator read almost all books. Arthur even introduced Zed to the very book that gave him the idea for Zardoz, the Wizard of Oz. In a surprising twist, the memories reveal that Zed had long ago realized that Zardoz was simply a name made up by corrupting the title Wizard of Oz. The stone head is, in fact, based on the mask worn by the wizard in the book. This revelation disillusioned Zed, and he snuck into the Zardoz spaceship to seek revenge from Arthur. After this intense interrogation, May and Zed get physically intimate. But they are interrupted by Consuela, who sees this act as a violation of Vortex's laws. She thinks that Zed has started to corrupt the citizens of her paradise, and thus decides to kill him as soon as possible. Fortunately, he manages to escape and runs back to the House of Renegades. With the help of May and Friend, he absorbs all the Eternals' knowledge. This also includes information regarding the Vortex's origin, which is essential to destroy the tabernacle. While absorbing their knowledge, Zed impregnates May and a few of her followers. He is eventually transformed from a revenge-seeking exterminator to a righteous man. Following this, he gains access to the tabernacle. There, Zed learns the location of the crystal, which contains the sum total of the Eternals' knowledge. However, a reconstituted Arthur Frayne appears in the tabernacle. He reveals that the crystal contains both everything and nothing. Angered by Arthur's constant riddles, deception, and lifelong manipulation, Zed devotes all his intelligence to finding the crystal's deeper meaning. He peers deeper and deeper into it, suddenly breaks several dimensions, and ultimately enters the device. Once inside the core of the crystal, Zed sees his violent nature, represented as himself wearing his dual-faced killer mask. It is the same mask that he and other exterminators wore while murdering brutals in the outback. Zed finally shuts down the tabernacle, thus disabling the force field surrounding the vortex. This helps the exterminators invade the vortex and kill most of the Eternals, who welcome death as a release from their boring existence. Fortunately, May and several of her followers, whom Zed had impregnated, escape the massacre. They then live among the brutals as enlightened but mortal beings. The final scenes show Consuela, who ultimately falls in love with Zed and decides to start a family in a deep cave. They have a son who grows to manhood as his parents age, wither, and die. Zed and Consuela are last seen as a pair of loving, long-dead skeletons, still holding hands. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching.